He would say Kelsey and Kittle are two of the premier tight ends in the NFL. They were both two-star recruits that had minimal to no offers. And you don't become a really good tight end until you're about 25 or 26 years old, because you got to block the guy that the tackle blocks. You got to run the route against the same guy that Marvin's got to beat. And so it's a physically challenging job. But that being said, the great players are these 6'4", 5 basketball, quarterback, receivers that kind of outgrow the position, and down the road they become this big athlete. The big high school guys sometimes become too big, and they become tackles, or they lose their speed. The best tight ends are those developmental basketball guys. I was head coach in Indiana. I go recruit a guy and he's 6'5" and to play basketball. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, you live in Indiana, you play basketball. You thought you're next Larry Bird, right? Come on, let's go. And you want to recruit a kid to play in the national championship game. He can't play high school basketball. That makes sense. So I love it when tight ends play basketball.
That's what I talked to a coach one time. He said they'll use it as a tiebreaker for basketball film because you can see the athleticism more.
Correct. You don't have to have a great shot. I mean, but at least you can run and jump and make plays. So.
I know you were talking about Georgia's defense a little bit earlier, but is there anyone that really stands out to you? Because a couple of the guys like Jalen Carter.
He's so dominant up front and plays hard. But you can't, they're so good. It ain't like, okay, we'll just double team him. Because all those other guys get one-on-one matchups. So sometimes, and because they pressure and are so multiple in the fronts, if you concentrate on one guy, you're going to be not sound. So, they're completely talented across the board, and some of those guys are the elite, going to be potential high draft picks and great NFL guys. So, but yeah, he jumps out. And their one safety is active as good. Two backers are active. I just see a bunch of great athletes running around, and you see 88 dominate a lot.
I know, obviously, whenever you're coaching CJ, you know he's different. Everybody knows he's different, given his accolades and everything he's been able to do on the field. But what is it that makes him so special as a quarterback? What's the difference?
I think his accuracy and his talent and throwing is really good, but he is very, very smart. He processes very, very quickly, and he sees things, and he can tell you what he sees. And when he sees something, he tells you. You watch on tape, he saw what he saw. I mean, some guys can't see or process. I mean, his visual capabilities that create mental thoughts of what's going on is extremely fast, and that, I think, gives him a chance to. And he's very accurate, but he's able to see, make quick decisions, get the ball out of the hand, and get it on target. And like I said, a lot of guys say guys are smart. He's smart, but his ability to see it and then process that information quickly. He's got a bunch of bars on his internet. You know what I'm saying? He's got service. He's got a high internet service. So I think if that's not his greatest skill, that's one of his greatest attributes.
And especially going up against a Georgia defense who can really disguise a lot of things and is good at it, how much confidence do you have in CJ that he's able to process that information really quickly and hopefully dissect it?
A lot, but again, at the same time, those processes come back to Jalen. Those guys up front, how much time do you have to process it? That the units working together, that protection and things are working together to give him the time, because, again, as time gets rushed, why is it rushed? And it's because of the protection issues, and here comes their blitzes and their pressure packages. So he will see it, but you hope there's a click more time to process and give him a chance to play the game we need him to play.
Last question from me. I asked you about the way that they're able to disguise their defenses. How well do you think Georgia does that?
Really good. Now, it's kind of interesting, crowd noise is a part of these games. And they always say crowd noise hurts the offense. Well, their defense is operating at the same noise level. So as their fans will be going loud, and it'll be difficult for us to maybe communicate or say things, sometimes that affects the defense well. So their ability with their hand signals and checks and calls. So, they're a little bit of a no-huddle defense. If you can watch them, they're looking over and getting that signal at the last second because they're trying to process exactly where's the formation, where's the running back. I mean, that's a part of the game right now. They'll disguise, and disguise great. And that's Kirby's a back-end guy, secondary guy. He's going to give you a lot of eye candy. He's going to show fronts and come differently he's going to make the quarterback and the O-line work every play. One, they got great players, and two, it's a great scheme. But the other thing, too, is even though it's difficult for us to communicate, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for them. So sometimes that minimizes some things you like to do, because it will be a very hectic environment Saturday night.
Kevin, I've got a Jalen Carter question for you, too. Georgia obviously didn't really have have him full systems go for the first half of the season. In the second half of the season, they have had a healthy Jalen Carter. In scouting Georgia's defense, how different are they with Jalen Carter? But do you have to make sure you don't give a guy like that, like you were saying earlier, too much attention because the guys around him are so good as well?
Correct. You can't give him too much, and he's going to make some plays, and sometimes those plays are impact plays, because it's a critical sack or a goal line stop or a coming out stop, so it gets a lot of notoriety. But at the same time, when you're playing inside three technique, it's not like you're making 22 tackles like sometimes that linebacker and safety that's making every play. So at the end of the game, as dominant and as forceful as he is, those linebackers and safeties and edge guys running around is a part of what makes that defense so special. So, he's been impactful down the stretch, but their whole defense has. That's why they're undefeated. That's why they're 1, 2, 3 in the country in every stat, and we'll have our hands full with them.
Kevin, congratulations first
Thanks.
off.
Appreciate it.
I know it's been a long time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
It's great. You and John Cooper, linked for life now.
I got a picture of me and Coach Coop at last practice. I got to put that one out here soon.
Doing just sort of a legacy piece. I know the final chapter isn't written on CJ, but it seems like seeing the field, as much as he can throw it into tight windows and all that, it seems like his prep and his just ability to see things
Correct.
is maybe what sets him apart.
The one lady just asked, like, what do you think his greatest attribute is? And I go, it's his ability to process information and see, and he can see it and process it quickly. And it's amazing when he comes with like, hey, what is? Well, coach, I thought the safety was here. I felt that backer, so I did this. And then you watch it on tape, like, pretty good. That's of course now. What's amazing when we watch tape, he's seeing it from this level. We're watching it from a different view. So when you're watching and telling him what to see, the view you're looking at is not the view he has. So I do think his ability to see things, quickly understand what he saw, and process that information is one of the most elite I've ever been around. Bradford was that way. Very smart, quick-minded, and could see and make decisions. So it's one thing to see it, but then what does that mean? I remember years ago, I'm not a quarterback guy, and I've coached him up. And I remember standing back behind where the quarterback, and I'm looking like I can't tell I have no idea who's open, because I can't see that. That's not my visual. I saw things like an offensive lineman. I can see the nose guard chick. I see the linebacker. I can feel it. Those are my visuals as a player. I think Ryan, being a quarterback, sees the game like CJ through the eyes of a quarterback. I don't see it that way, because we all have different ways we see things. But it's amazing when you talk to CJ after a play, after a practice, after a drive, what he tells you he sees is point on. And the second thing, not only does he see it, he can process that quickly and make a decision, and then he's very damn accurate. The ball's on target. So he sees it, processes it, and by the way, it's right there. It's not here, it's there.
There are guys that can process. They're gifted that, but they just don't have it.
It's no different than your phone when you guys are complaining you don't have service, and you drop a call. He has service a lot. His internet works. He's got high speed, and he's very. It's a phenomenal talent.
When you were coaching back in the day, Ohio State hasn't become, I wouldn't call it quarterback view, but it's come a long way in terms of the modern game. Where guys are expected. When you think of Ohio State, you think of Haskell, you think of Justin, you think of CJ. Troy won the Heisman, but
Correct.
Where does it stand today? This is a place.
Well, yeah, I think the game has evolved. Just talking earlier, there used to be your old school running team for the most part, and then Coryell and Lavelle Edwards got their passing game going. Off that came Hal Mummy, Mike Leach, their passing game off of that. But you were one or the other, and then here comes the shotgun running style. But it's either you were air raid or the running style, which was what we did at Northwestern, what Rich did for sure, what Urban did. Well, I think Ryan going to the NFL with Chip took that college game, but it had to evolve because of the talent and the passing. When I got hired at Oklahoma, I don't think I made this comment earlier. I don't think Coach Stoops gets enough credit for he hired Leach because he despised what he did against him, and he wanted to throw the ball. Then after he got there, he says we got to run the ball. He saw what we were doing, so you put both those together. And what has happened over time is you got this run game of college spread that now is blended with this pass game, and that's taken off the quarterback position. I think Ryan's background, having basically played in a gun-run offense, but now at the NFL level, working with Sam and Kaepernick and all those guys, has evolved the evolution of high quarterback passing still complementing a shotgun running game. And that's where 5, 6, 8 years ago, we're different now because of what happened at OU with Leach's style and what we did, what Ryan experienced with Chip in the NFL. We come in with Urban, we're going to run an Urban with JT, and we're running and a quarterback running deal. And through some, Ryan's background with the pros, my background with OU, the passing game took off more. Hart's done a phenomenal job developing and recruiting the position, a receiver. You got talented dudes out there. But you even go back to when Irving and Emmitt Smith and those guys, Cowboys. You go back to Jerry Rice. All the when you can't block people, you score plays with one-on-one matchups. It's one-on-one. The running back's got to beat 11 guys. A great receiver's got to beat 1 or 2. And that's where the passing game has taken off. And I think what's happened now in time, we have taken the shotgun-oriented run game and blended it with really good passing, high-end quarterback play, attracted great receivers, and now you got a high-end passing game that still doesn't get enough credit for being physically. I read the other day somebody's talking about a team that was so dominant in the run game, and I looked and they're averaging 0.4 yards more a game than we are. And everybody says how bad our run game is because we have no clue. And this dominant team is 0.4 more a game. I go, well, golly, I mean, that's because they can't throw the ball. So I have to talk about it because we throw the ball. So it's like our run game stinks. So the really good teams do both.
Last thing, is it fair to say that back when you were at OU, Ohio State's quarterback play, or Ohio State as a passing team, would not have scared me?
So, well, it's different. And Coach Trestles is one of the all-time great coaches, but I played them his first year here. So the next year, the kickoff game was against Texas Tech in the shoe. And it was a Saturday for everybody to play. And we practiced that morning. We're going to go away. And Coach said, hey, let's go watch our boy Leacher play. I said, Coach, they're going to run power 50 times today. I said, trust me, they're going to run the power 50 times. I didn't know Claret was going to be the guy, but I knew they were going to run the power 50 times. He called me at halftime. He says, my God, they're halfway there. I said, yep, they're going to run the ball. And that was their style. So whether they scared you or not, what they did is they had great receivers, David Boston, all those guys, and they made plays. And they picked Terry Glenn. I remember recruiting Terry out of high school myself. I mean, they had playmakers. But again, that was the style of the game back then, and that was the style of the league. And then over time, the league has evolved, but it's still a line of scrimmage league in the Big Ten. It's a physical league. We're playing Georgia. They have phenomenal talent, but they're a line of scrimmage team. National championship games, we still have the passing, the great quarterback play, the great receivers. To win championships, it's still a line of scrimmage game. And you got to be good in both, up there from both sides.
Coach, how does that present a challenge to you? Is that a challenge to you guys as play callers? Is that a challenge? Is that like players that once the ball snapped? When is that a critical?
Well, the problem in play calling is really the planning of when you put something up, it's got to work against multiple things because you're maybe not sure what you're going to see. So you can draw a play and say, hey, they line up here, this is a great play. And it is 40% of the time when they're in that defense. But when these three other fronts come in, you're running uphill, or you don't have a hat on that guy in protection, or you don't have a great route progression as you're going through in the route game. So their multiplicity causes you to be very calculated in what you want to attack the team, but it's got to work against multiple looks. For the players, then it's their ability to adjust quickly because, okay, like they actually will stem their front quite a bit, go from here to here. So, they'll show one blitz, check to another blitz. They'll show one coverage and roll to another coverage. So it'll be very challenging for the players as the ball is snapped, pre and post snap. For the play calling, it's really done on the front end where you're calculating what you can do because they got great players and they challenge and make it hard. It's not like it's it's a buffet here, and just pick them all. And you got to be very calculated in what you're doing.
And Marvin mentioned Jalen Carter. The lights got to come on for him. He's got to take that next step. What have you seen out of him in the last month or so? What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this year he maybe was in the mix, playing a little bit more, practice a little bit more. And I think maybe hit a little bit of that midseason wall where a year ago you're not playing much, and all of a sudden, even though he's not maybe playing the games, the practice volume and the demand and expectations of what you got to bring on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice, and week after week, and keeping your body healthy. So I think just coming off, I think he's got a breath of fresh air. It is his time. A lot of players in our place have a lot expected of them, social media, immediate-wise, and family-wise. So sometimes it takes 1 or 2 years to really get to where you need to be. I think he's kind of trending where he needs to be. unfortunately, sometimes if it doesn't happen fast, you think you're failing, or sometimes it just takes time of stacking up days. So he was having a really good season. I think he hit a little bit of a wall, which I think is kind of normal with his position and physicality and maturing. I think he's on the backside of that wall, and he's showing some good signs. He'll need to have a great offseason and do a lot because he needs to be big in the mix as his team moves forward.
Coach, how important is it to recruit the state of Georgia?